The most welcome wetness continues to fall from the sky. That is a very good thing. And don't worry about this little dam and lake here, which is basically right in front of our temporary house. This is work in progress, so this is not a problem. But we built this dam to avoid the water to rush down here. And as the house sits on loose cinder blocks, like so, what you can see here, the water could do some damage, but this is a temporary structure, so eventually this will go away, but it might be a couple of years till then. This is our temporary paddock CT6 here at the Altiplano. The cows have been here a while, eating straw and pellets. Now this time we have distributed seed all over this paddock, and it gets additional straw so that the cows can come in here tomorrow morning to help us with the hooves to put the seed in contact with the soil. And then we close this for a while so that the new grasses can then emerge and establish themselves. Okay. From the heavier rain we do have some standing water here, which to me is an indication that plants are missing. But then of course this is also the result of them bale grazing around the bale that was sitting here. There is no seed in there, and that will then change for the future. So this is an attempt to help her get up on her feet. As you can see, she cannot, and that's a huge problem. So as you can see how she has the hind legs, and that is the problem. She does not seem to be able to move them well, and at least with this tool she has now the weight off of this part of her body and maybe can exercise the muscles. But it's really not looking good. She doesn't want to run away. And as you can see, she likes to eat after the water, so this is a positive sign. The challenge is in her hindquarters, but she has moved both legs, so the connection is there. Maybe it's just a question of moving the blood around.
Kasi talaga si Pati yung puno sa sarili mo rin basta. Kita?
Intentando de motivarla para poner las patas delante.
mal, vete para atrás un poco.
Whoa. Whoa.
The bad thing about the rain is all the mud that it brings. But if you have a good vehicle, that's not a big problem. And the animals, they don't mind, because they are 4x4 anyway. Every now and then, when the backhoe goes up and comes down, we try to add a little bit of the spent straw here, so that we get some free compost. It was actually a suggestion by one of you, so thank you for that. And it helps to keep this area a little bit less muddy. But it has rained all the morning, and so there is still some standing water here, and we should add a little bit more of this material. But this will happen. We still have quite a bit that we can put here. C1 and C2 are looking very good. We are getting a lot of flowers also.
Careful. Full.
So as you can see, there's very little infiltration. This is just standing water from the rain, and there are some plants, but their roots are not very deep. And if I move here to the place where it got already plowed or tilled, you can see that this might now help, because now it is open and it can infiltrate, but the impact is not very deep, so it's pretty much the same as pigs would do. So instead of having him do this work, we could have brought a bunch of pigs in here, the same way as we did over there. And most of the green that you see is now natural, and I was always of the opinion that nothing will grow there because the seed bank is depleted, but looks like I was pretty wrong. There's plenty of seed, but somehow the conditions were not right. But here in this area we are going to seed something that does not exist yet. So that is then the next step after this job is done. So the swale here in CT2 doesn't look that much different regarding the water level in the swale itself, because it's infiltrating. But I can see, and I will show you this in a second, that the pond area definitely has more water in it. So this is definitely more filled up. And more rain is in the forecast. So this might fill up completely. We will see. There is a lot of room to hold more water. It's a very interesting experiment. The swale here, all the plowing, and then the seed. Let's see how this will go. We also checked a little bit on our options to have some irrigation for the time when there is no more rain, so that we can keep those new plants alive for a while. So up there we have a 3000 liter tank, and the intention is to add a few more, maybe 2 more. And then we have our pump that fills it up from the outflow of the water reservoir. And then we can have a line that goes down. We have an additional solar pump for pressure. And then we can have drip irrigation here that we step by step remove as the animals will start to forage from the beginning, there where the white car is. This is the entrance that I will start, and then it goes step by step all the way to the end until everything has been eaten and trampled. So this is a larger scale experiment. So this isn't really supposed to be the daily Palovnia report, but you can almost see a difference every day, how fast these trees do grow. And our friends the ants have also shown up here. But I guess with the tilling and seeding and then integrating the seed into the soil, they won't have a feast here. Now this is also interesting. I don't intend to walk over this freshly plowed field. So here in the foreground you see a puddle, and you can also see in the background where I'm zooming in that this integrated pond has filled up very well. It must have been last night's heavier rain. And you can see also a little bit that the swale also is now filling up itself. And there's more rain to come. As of today, these paddocks here to the right have some 28 days of rest. And there's a lot of mustard and also other flowers coming up. And as you can see, there's a puddle. And now the interesting thing is, if I pan to the left, you can see the neighbor. And that is the older couple. They had been running sheep, but recently they sold their flock to someone else who is now a tenant on their land. But of course this person continues to do what they have been doing all the time. And it looks quite different. So there isn't that much, which is very sad. And I can observe that on our side we do suddenly have a lot of these flowers and some vigorous growth in all those places where there was a huge animal impact. While in some parts where the animals have not been as active, so I mean the hoof action, the growth is less. So apparently there is a connection between the hoof action and the growth afterwards. And that is kind of confirmed also in the area where we had the pigs. The pigs have tilled, and suddenly there is a lot of things growing up that were not there before. So I said 28 days. This needs to go to 42, I believe. And then we can bring them in again. And we are getting out of winter, coming into spring now. So the temperatures at night are still single digit. And during the day, like today, it is just 15. So it's not perfect conditions for perfect grass growth. But once the sun comes out, and it's supposed to come out over the next 2 days, this should then change. So if you look at the sky, it is cloudy, but it is thinning up. So apparently this will dry up a little bit, and then by tomorrow we may have a little bit of sunshine. So it is looking pretty good. Of course, the mustard is not what we want. We want grass. But the mustard is kind of part of it, and in this region people are very proud about how this looks like, the yellow and the green. But then, as we know, and for correctness sake, this is a different patch, but it's very close. As we know, the mustard makes it look impressive. Also, when you look at it from the top, it is not anything impressive. So as you can see here, there is a lot of still exposed soil and not that much growth of grass and other things. There's some mossy stuff in there, and it only looks nice from a distance. So this is still a work in progress. So we don't want that much yellow, we want a lot more green. Just to give an impression, this is A4 and it's a pretty wild area. If I pan down you can see it. So pigs have been in here, cows have been in here several times, and the area is a little bit rough because the pigs have created their wallows and done all kinds of damage. But it's actually a very helpful thing. And what is coming up is things like that. So this is basically how an area could look like, or can look like, if you play the game of putting in different species and rotating them in and out. So this is on a good path, I would think. And after enough time to recover, we will bring in the cows again. And after a good while, there will be pigs in here. But this is a long time ago. No, this is a long time in the future. So this is not for now, and we don't have any pigs at the moment, but it is supposed to work like that. So we have a rotation going forward between cows and pigs, and also the laying hens, to take advantage and improve an area. And over time we should have a lot deeper soil that is more fertile. And the more we achieve this, the closer we come to having an actual product. Because right now we are paying back someone else's debt. And once the debt has been paid off, we can then reap a benefit. This here is the Vetiver grass in A5, and around the corner in A6 we have more of it. That is the grass that we are going to harvest and divide into slips to plant along the seasonal creek. Here in summer we need to irrigate, while along the creek probably that won't be necessary. And it will do us more good there instead of at this location here. This here is the second location where we have the vetiver. It is still brown and has all these old leaves, but if you look very closely, you can definitely see that it is greening up. So here you can see it. So it has started to regrow. And we will excavate it, divide it and plant it elsewhere. This is kind of a volunteer here. It certainly has been here before, because this has not grown over winter. But it has grown quite a bit over winter, that certainly. I'm not really sure what it is. But it is great to have here amongst the vetiver. There are still some mushrooms around, which is also a very positive sign. And as you like comparison, so as you might remember, this is A4 on our side, and I pan now across the fence. And what you see there is the land where the guy with the tractor has plowed and seeded. This has not seen a lot of animal impact, and this is how it looks now at the same time. It is much better than the neighbor where the sheep run freely, but I have a feeling we have achieved pretty much the same without using a machine. So that makes me very hopeful that rediscovering the techniques of the past is actually worthwhile. Not everything new and modern is really a good idea. And that says the person working with technology every day. So I think technology has its place. It is important, especially the information it can provide. Of course, now I'm biased as I work in information technology. But the combination between high-tech and low-tech, depending on what is more fit for a purpose, that is probably the magic ingredient. That is the mix that one should be going for. So we use IT to understand what is going on, and then we use mules and pigs to work the soil. It's like 21st century with elements from 1800s or so. I find this an interesting endeavor that we are undertaking. Of course, I don't know anything about this, so I am not an expert and I'm not giving any advice. I find it interesting and I'm eager to learn more. I am looking at A3, which used to be a paddock very bad, in very bad shape. And with some of the interventions, the animals and some seeding into straw that we had here, it is changing. So those grasses here must be the new guys. But of course there's also a lot of the mustard, which is natural. But things are improving. After hours, the mules get to rest here overnight. Tomorrow the owner will come and fetch them again for another round of plowing. And they are hobbled, so they don't run away very far, as you can see. There's something in between their forelegs. If it is like that and just overnight, that's perfectly fine. But the black mare, Librada, had a metal chain there, and that was basically a sentence for life, and that is a totally different thing. That is why I went to the neighbor, the one with the sheep, and explained to him that I want to rescue that horse, because they did not understand what it does to the animal when it's even forbidden. So hobbling overnight is okay, but putting a chain in there for months at end oh, at no end actually, that is certainly a very, very bad thing. Let's see what they get. So this is some extra to give them the strength they need for the work. This one is a very young one, 15 months, and he's learning. And it's a male, so it's definitely, yeah, I don't know what the English term for a female mule is. In Spanish you can tell. So in Spanish that would be mulu, while the female one is mula. And the sound that you hear in the background is our backhoe. The cows need some more straw because we have them in areas where there isn't enough of biomass, so that is our way of adding it. And also there is forage now, we need to protect it so that it grows well and develops deep roots, which is why this paddock, also it looks very nice, is still off limits. So, and in here there is something interesting. This is the thinner end of A15, and if I now zoom in, you can see grasses that are already developing a seed head. And that is a bit strange given how early we are in the year. So this is clearly a seed head. And it's grasses, because we have not seeded anything here, so it is somehow natural. It's the only spot where we have this. It is still not overflowing. It requires a lot more water. But on the other side, it looks like that. And these sediment traps are full. And I'm now going towards the pond, and I'll show you something that a guy did the last few days. So the guys went to the outflow of the water reservoir and harvested some of the cattail and transplanted it to here. And also some of the other companion plants of the cattail. This is an attempt to do something good here for the pond. And as you can see, the pond has filled up a little bit more. And here on the other side, they did the same thing. This is not for any particular benefit. It is just that some of the stuff that grows down there also grows up here. We still have to think about how to proceed here in this area. There used to be this idea of a wetland on the higher parts here, so that we can improve things by moving water around, but that is something in the future. So there are other fish that we need to fry. And step by step we get ourselves a rake. Of course it needs some reinforcement so that it won't bend easily. So there will be some braces like that. but it should not take very long and we can give it a try.
That was it for today. I hope you liked this springtime update when everything springs back to life. See you in a few days here at Granja Caimito.